Hello again guys, it's Carly from the Poetry of Nice and I have another sales update video for you guys. So this is a little roundup of a few sales I've had over the last few weeks on Etsy, Poshmark and eBay. And this is pretty much just a sampling of some of the things that I have sold. So there's some sort of not higher end items, but that sold for more, shall we say, some good sales. And then there's some of the just, general everyday sales that you tend to get. Just to give you an example of what all is moving for me right now, and we are just approaching the beginning of September right now, so I'm hoping things are going to start really picking up here soon. I have been listing as much as I have been able to and have got my eBay store at least over the 700 item mark, which is fairly substantial for me because I only work 1 to 2 hours a day at this. I am a stay-at-home mom to 3 little boys who are under the age of 5, so I pretty much work whenever I am able to, which is not all the time. But this is my little work at home business and I absolutely love it, and it gives us all kinds of opportunity to save money, pay off debt and go on vacation. So that's a little bit about me. Let me dive into some of the sales here. I will let you know that the sales price that I'm going to give you is just what the buyer paid. I pretty much always have buyer paying shipping. I will let you know if anything had free shipping on it, of course. And please bear in mind this does not include any of the selling fees on these platforms. So for instance, Poshmark has a 20% selling fee. So the price I give you, make sure that you bear that in mind, that 20% came off the top of that to go to Poshmark in order to sell on their platform. I will also make an effort to tell you where I got the item, if I can remember, and how much I originally paid for that item, just so you can see what I'm picking it up, where I am picking it up from, and what I am sort of willing to pay or able to pay in my neck of the woods for these items. So here we go. Without further ado, let's just dive right in. So starting with Etsy, this sold yesterday. As you can tell, it's a vintage Christmas stocking, like very sort of 90s or whatever. It is quilted. It was fairly nice. It was in good condition, very cartoony. And it sold on Etsy for $19.95 plus shipping. And I paid about 50 cents for this at a rummage sale. This is a little bit hard to remember what I paid for this. I think I paid around $12 on eBay because I actually bought it for myself last year. I am a sucker for novelty Halloween clothing and I'm also a sucker for peanuts. So I grabbed this and I actually have two. I have this trick or treat one and I have Snoopy on his typewriter typing "It was a dark and spooky night," and that is just my favorite. I've been minimizing a lot of the belongings that I have recently, and in absolute honesty, I probably only need one Peanuts related Halloween sweatshirt in my life. So I picked my favorite and this one went up. It actually sold within just a few days of listing here on Etsy, and it sold for $34.95 plus shipping. So as I said, I paid around $12 originally on eBay last year, so $34.95 is not a bad markup, although it's kind of a sunk cost at this point because it was my own item that I sort of enjoyed as well. So this item, I paid $1 at a yard sale for this. These were actually adult overalls. Let me get a little closer for you. So this is a Winnie the Pooh picnic, like sort of embroidered patch motif, and it was very cute with like honey and apples and apple cores and stuff all embroidered around. It was very sweet, but obviously it needed a very specific buyer, a Winnie the Pooh hardcore, like, someone who just absolutely loves Winnie the Pooh and is willing to rock this in everyday life. And I guess it found its home. So I paid $1 at a yard sale and this sold for $49.95 plus shipping. And I should mention they're from approximately the 1990s as well. All right, this is Baba the elephant. I grew up watching this cartoon, so help me. And when I saw this guy at a rummage sale, I just went ahead and grabbed him knowing that he was an older piece. He was from the 1980s. He was not too terribly tall, but he was in good condition. And he sat for a while, honestly. He's probably been up in my store for around 8 or 9 months at this point, but I paid 25 cents for him and I had some nostalgia, what can I say? Anyway, he sold for $24.95 plus shipping, so that is not too bad at all for Baba. All right, UT or Tennessee Vols sweatshirts. Anybody who's been watching my channel for any length of time will know that I habitually pick up vintage college football gear. I find a lot of UT around here because of where I live, but if I find any other ones as well, I always grab them, or like vintage, just generally universities with like large graphics, spell out, that kind of thing. They always move for me in this season. So I've sold several so far. We're just hitting September now. Football season is upon us. This particular one sold for $39.95 plus shipping, and I paid about $1 for this at a yard sale. And the last thing I'm going to show you from Etsy today is this Busch Gardens vintage snapback hat. So it has like a map of the theme park or like the area on it. This actually sat for a really long time and I was surprised. Now I only paid 25 cents for this at a yard sale when I got all kinds of different hats with fantastic graphics on them, but I thought this would move faster. I actually have a few SeaWorld ones as well that have been sitting too, and some Disney ones. Go figure, I guess you just don't always know. But it was actually sort of new, as it were, without tags. Just, you know, a general tourist hat. But this eventually sold for $29.95, and like I said, I paid about $1 for it at a yard sale. All right, on to Poshmark. Oh, this isn't what I want to show you. Here we go. All right. So here's just like a sampling of some of the sales I've had on Poshmark recently. Poshmark is still doing really well for me at the moment. I wouldn't say that it's rivaling eBay in terms of what I'm earning, but it is certainly overtaken Etsy by far. Etsy is still sort of 1 to 2 sales a week for me, where it used to be 1 to 2 sales a day, honestly. Poshmark is around that 1 to 2 sales a day for me right now, and I'm fairly happy with that. Hopefully in this fourth quarter as well, it'll pick up. That would be great. Lots of sweaters and coats to list. Anyway, so this was obviously a torrid piece. Surplice was apparently, I hope I'm saying that right, but anyway, it took a little bit of research to find out what this was called. But anyway, it's essentially like, it's not a dress, but it's not a shirt, it's somewhere in between. Anyway, whatever it was, I paid $4 at a thrift store, and it actually sold for 20. So, you know, probably made, oh my goodness, what's that, $12 profit? Around about $12 profit, which is not too bad, and it sat for probably about a month, so that's not too terrible. But anyway, there's that one. This one, see, I just love to sell vintage. It's so much fun. So this was a 1998 Lost in Space, like the movie, graphic t-shirt. I think Matt LeBlanc was in that. Anybody remember? Oh my goodness. And this is the back as well, where it says Get Lost. Anyway, I thought this thing was super cool. I paid like, oh my goodness, about 25 cents for this at a rummage sale, and it sold for $25 within about 2 weeks. Now I will say this, you'll see down here as well, I do a like full photograph. So this is just an adult size. This is not men's or women's, as these like graphic movie shirts and stuff like that, or any kind of like vintage shirts that don't specify where like the waist measurements and stuff, I don't always are about the same as the chest. I don't always specify if they're men's or women's in the listing. I purely say adult size. But when I'm on somewhere like Poshmark, I do style it. So as you can see, this is what it would look like normally, but here on Poshmark for my cover photo, I'm going to go ahead and style it with some rolled like cuffs, I guess you could say, rolled sleeves, and also like with a side knot, because frankly that is how I would wear it, with like a pair of high-waisted jeans or something like that, styled in such a way. But I'm also very careful to say that it has been styled in the photos, and to include just that full photo to show what the garment looks like. I've always had good feedback on this. I've never had someone who felt like they got something different than what they thought they were getting. But that is just how I choose to do it. If anyone has any feedback on that or would do it differently, I would love to hear your point of view, because this is fairly new to me, how I'm styling these vintage pieces, but I'm just noticing that they catch people's eye way better when they're styled in a certain way. Kind of like how you would most likely wear it in every day as a woman. Okay, anyway, so 25, spent about 25 cents on it, not too bad. So this J. Crew, this was merino wool, this like baseball thin knit sweater. It was really nice. It was super hard to get for good photographs. So you can see some more of the true color here. It was just really hard not to get it washed out with its color combination. Anyway, paid about $4, sold for $30, not too bad. Another pair of Clark's boots. I do fairly well with Clark's, especially like the ankle booties and stuff like that. Paid $1 for these and they sold for $25. I'm trying to remember as well that when I take best offers, I'm trying to remember to tell you guys. So like this one, $21, it was $25 that I had it listed for, and I took a best offer of $21. I usually price my items on Poshmark just a hair higher than I think that I would you know, realistically get for it, because I love to have wiggle room to be able to go back and forth and negotiate with people. It's not often that I will not take best offers, but then again, if you're offering me 50% or less for an item, like I said, I'm pricing towards the top end of comps. I am not pricing like out of this world as far as I can tell from all of the research that I do on each item. So I most likely do not take offers that are 50% or less, depending on the item, depending on how long it's sat, of course. But, you know, I do love to be able to give people a deal and to be able to hear the market, as it were. So here is just another vintage shirt, again, styled. So here is what it looks like in full. So you can see, most likely was a men's shirt. It didn't specify. However, I would absolutely wear this style the way I did, with a front knot and with rolled cuffs. Totally. Again, skinny high-waisted jeans, that would look fantastic. Still got good feedback. I think styling is definitely key on Poshmark. That's just my 2 cents at this point. So sold for $21, paid about 25 cents at a rummage sale. And these were a pretty good sale for me. So I actually got these for $20 at a yard sale, which is more than I would usually pay for items. You can tell some of the things I'm showing you here are usually around a quarter to 50 cents or maybe $1 than what I pay. But, you know, $20 is a lot for me. However, I saw this little logo I want to show you, like right here, which is Fry. And these actually turned out, after some research with style numbers and logos and all these different things, to be a vintage pair of boots. They were obviously tall, like riding boots, like a red chestnut brown leather, and they sat for a while, I will say, although to be fair, their season is just now arriving. But they've probably been in my store around 4 to 5 months, and I took a best offer for these. They were up for $150, and I took a best offer of $135 plus shipping. And I was very happy with that after putting $20 into them. Not too bad at all. This was a good sale. See, Poshmark, I don't think people always equate vintage clothing with Poshmark, especially things like these big color block windbreakers, but I'm having some great luck there. So there's definitely a market. Don't be afraid to explore that a little bit on Poshmark if that's what you sell as well. But this thing was just fantastic. Look at this color blocking right here, like so 80s, 90s. I love it. So I got this for around 50 cents at a rummage sale, I have to say, and it sold within the month of listing for $50, which was actually full price. They didn't send me an offer, they just bought it outright, plus the shipping also. These cut from the cloth embroidered ankle skinny jeans. I paid $9 for these because they were new with tags. I got them at like a little kind of like a bargain store that we have around here, where sometimes they have some really good brands, not a TJ Maxx, but kind of comparable to that. And they sold for $35, so I had $9 in them. I actually bought 2 pairs. The other pair sold for around $45. I don't know that I would spend $9 on them again. Having said that, that's not too bad as a return on investment. It's over $20 profit, but I don't know. It would have been nice to get a little bit higher, I suppose. But anyway, they were small size as well. They were too petite, so that probably played a role also. And this umgee brown, like high-low, asymmetrical, lagging look sweatshirt thing. There are so many keywords that could describe this. Here's some of the backs. You can see the detail. It had like kind of like a ribbed thing happening on the cuffs and the back of the shoulders. This sold really quickly, like within 2 days of listing, which surprised me. It sold for $20. I originally had it up for $25. I took a best offer of $20, and I paid around $1 for this at a rummage sale. This was obviously a new with tags Mickey Mouse cosmetic bag. I actually picked this up on clearance at Target for $3. I listed it for $15, and it literally, I press send or list, whatever it is you press on Poshmark, and I got up from my chair to go get something else, and when I came back it had sold. I have another one listed, and it has plenty of likes but has not sold yet, so I think it was one of those things where it just happened to go live, where it's like soulmate was on Poshmark and saw it pop up and bought it right away. I don't know. I hope that they loved it. They seem to from their feedback. But yeah, so $3, $15, that's not too bad for an almost instant flip. These were the Ivanka Trump suede leather bow kitten heels. I just grabbed these at a filler bag, so they worked out at around 50 cents when everything was kind of parted out. They were in good shape. They did have one little spot just down here on the toe, which I disclosed down here so that you can see, but they were leather soles, Like I said, good shape. They got so many likes and quite a few offers. I had them up for 30 and eventually someone offered me 25, which I absolutely took because 50 cents into 25 is not too bad, especially when they have a small flaw on them. And the final Poshmark thing I was going to show you is this, only because I have no idea what it is. I bought this at a rummage sale for $3. It is obviously like a full-size coat. It was primarily wool, 70% wool, and it felt like it. I've mentioned here before, I'm horrendously allergic to wool, so dealing with this thing was just like, it was awful. I deserved my money, put it that way. I was itching all over. But it's like this hooded, lagging look, like boxy, oversized fit with these huge, oversized pockets. I thought it was really cool. Here is the label. I have no idea what the brand was, but I could tell the decent quality, and it was made in Italy, I believe, which is usually, yep, there you go, usually a fair indicator that it's something that may be worthwhile to pick up for, say, $3. Anyway, it was up for $50. Someone offered me was it 50 or 60? One of the two. Anyway, someone offered me $40, which I happily took. And I hope they enjoy their giant wool coat and that it keeps them very cozy this season. All right. And then onto eBay, last but not at all least. eBay has been doing okay for me. It is definitely picking up at the moment, slowly but surely. So here we go. So this Lafayette 148, I actually picked this up for $4 and I had it up for 50. And I just could not move the thing. It's been up now for about three and a half months. Anyway, someone came along and offered me $30. Again, had $4 in it from a thrift store, so I went ahead and took it. I was happy enough with that. These Carhartt men's jeans, I cannot stress you enough. They are not big money. Like I'm talking $12 to $15 when they're in, used condition. And when I say used condition, I mean, there are some marks or there's some kind of this like marbling effect, if you can see here in the photograph, like the white, which I obviously described in the text as well. Marbling to the wash. But in this last week, I sold a blue pair and a black pair. I picked each of them up for about $1 at a yard sale. First lot sold for $12.99. These sold for $14.99. They're not large sizes by any means, but they have sold so quickly for me, like within the day of listing. So Carhartt men's jeans, if they're cheap, like $1 or less, I would grab them every single time personally. Okay, another UT vintage sweatshirt. This one sold for $23.99 on a best offer. Paid about $1 for this. This I picked up at Target on clearance as well. It was $4 on the clearance rack. I actually picked it up to try it on and I just didn't like it on me. It was a little too thin, like burnt out material or whatnot. But I went ahead and listed it anyway, and it sold within 3 days of listing for for 18. It sold for $18, which, $4 into $18, that's about a $10 profit after fees and whatnot. So that's not too bad at all for a couple of days. Very easy to photograph and measure. This vintage Carlisle button-up women's shirt, let me go ahead and show you this label. Here it is. This is the older Carlisle label, and also the fact it's made in Hong Kong gives me a clue that it's probably a little bit older, probably around the 90s or so. But the print was fantastic. It was like this very bright, vibrant, almost trippy, tropical print with, as you can see there, butterflies, fish, elephants. There's some kind of like big cats in there somewhere. I don't know. This was a pretty cool shirt, and I figured it may take a little while to sell because it needed a very specific owner, but actually it sold within just a week or two of listing it. I was very pleased. So it sold for $20 on a best offer, which I was happy with because I only paid $1 at a rummage sale. This is not a brand that I think means anything at all. New Look, I know that we had that in England. I don't know if you'll have it over here. I guess you do since I found this, but it's not a high-end brand by any means. It's kind of like your H&M or something like that. But I liked the design, this like Russian doll, and it was a very like fluffy knit, very cozy and whatnot with the white coming through the black. It's just a neat piece, I thought. And I paid about 50 cents for it at a rummage sale, and it sold for full asking price at $19.99. It's Calvin Klein, like sheath dress, like a career piece. Again, I pick these up every time I find them at a decent price. I got this for half price at a thrift store for about $3.50, and it sold for $27. This is the second one that I sold in the last week or two because I only had two. But whenever I find them, I grab them, especially in like size 10 or up. These Calvin Klein career pieces just seem to move really quickly and consistently for me. That's been my experience anyway. This is just a big old wad of vintage fabric. I got this at an estate sale for about $1. It was a very large piece with like a fox hunting design all over it, and it sold for $23 on best offer, again with buyer paying shipping, which I'm totally happy with for $1. It was from, I guess it says here, 1987. This sold super fast. So I got this Herman Munster Halloween costume from a yard sale for $1. I just kind of found it in my pile the other day and was like, oh, I mean, we're hitting September soon, I might as well just throw it up. And it sold within the day for a best offer of $25. Sure, why not? Who knew the Munsters were still popular, but go for it. Okay. Talbots, this size extra large. Usually with Talbots I only get extra large and up. I prefer the plus sizes like 1X, 2X, 3X, just because they move faster for me and more consistently. That's been my experience. However, this caught my eye, this cardigan, because it was a wool blend and also because it had some really neat floral embroidery. Kind of reminded me of like a Bowden piece, like a Bowden print. And it was just in a really good condition. So it sold for a best offer of $25. I paid $1 at a rummage sale. Another Talbot's piece from the same rummage sale. This was a 1X. It's obviously a red and black kind of buffalo plaid almost, and then you can probably see close up there's like little Scotty dogs built into the print. This sold within like a day or two of listing, again, as most Talbot's fairly stylish plus size pieces do for me. So paid 50 cents at the rummage sale, sold for $19.99 plus shipping. And the final thing I'm going to show you is this vintage sweater that, oh my goodness, if I was not allergic to wool, I would have kept this so bad. I loved it with this giant like oversized neckline. So cool. This like reindeer knit with a snowflake design. Oh my goodness, I just thought this thing was awesome. Anyway, I got a best offer of $40 and I paid $1 at a rummage sale, so I thought that was fair enough and I took it. And that is it for my sales video. Thank you to everybody who hung in there to the end. I know that this was a long one and I apologize for that, but thank you so much for hanging out. Let me know once again how your sales are going. Have you seen the tide turn yet in terms of these kind of like holiday sales starting to ramp up? I would love to know if you suggest anything. Are you using promoted listings? Are you still running sales? How have you adapted to some of the changes that came with how we can run sales? Like, let's share some advice between one another in the comments and see what all we can do to kind of ramp things up a little bit. All right, you guys, I hope that you have an amazing week. Enjoy the last bits of summer, as it were, as we enter into the pumpkin season. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.